Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today, and thank you for considering Humber as your choice of post-secondary education. My name is Wendy Murphy, and I am your moderator for this session. First, as we just go to the agenda slide, thank you. First, I'll just ask that you take note of our social media channels. You'll find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Look for the Humber FHSW. On YouTube, you can watch numerous videos exploring all of our programs in our faculty. We've also created a faculty virtual tour webpage. Be sure to check that out when you can. The URL for that is visible at the bottom of the screen there, healthsciences.humber.ca/virtual tour. Our agenda for this session. In this 1-hour session, we have a few individuals who are on deck to share information. First, we have Vince from the admissions office. We have Pamela Adams, who is professor and program coordinator year 1 of the Bachelor of Science nursing program. We also have Catherine Ferguson, who is professor and also program coordinator of alternate pathways for the Bachelor Science nursing program. And we also have Ron Stewart, who is professor and coordinator from the Bioscience Division. After we have heard from everyone, we will begin the question and answer time. So you'll be typing in your questions into the question and answer box. This session is being recorded and will be available online on Humber FHSW's YouTube channel, probably within the next day or so. Live caption is also available in this platform. You will need to probably maximize your browser window, then look for the cog icon for playback settings. It's probably near the bottom of your screen, not the device settings, the playback settings. And click on Captions English. Okay, so let's go ahead to the, in this format today. Sorry, next slide, please. So in this format today, we will be able to accept your typewritten questions or comments via the Q&A box. You will not have the ability to verbally ask your questions in this session. The question and answer box is located, and it's probably on the right side of your screen. Navigate to the icon that looks like a double bubble with a question mark. From there, you will see a button that says Ask a Question. You can include your name or submit anonymously. Okay, so now let's move along to our presenters. First, we have Vince, who is from the admissions office. Good day, Vince.
Hi, everybody.
If you could please start us off with sharing information with respect to admissions for the Bachelor of Science nursing program and then also the second entry program.
Absolutely. Thanks, Wendy. Hi, everybody. My name is Vince Fecto. I'm the admissions officer for the Faculty of Health Sciences and Wellness. We may have shared some emails or phone calls in the past. So today I'm just going to be going over admissions for both, like Wendy mentioned, the 4-year degree program, as well as the Bachelor of Nursing second entry program. So to kick it off here, we're going to be going over just briefly the 4-year Bachelor of Science nursing program, which is a brand new exciting program at Humber this year. September 2021 is the first year that colleges are offering standalone Bachelor of Science nursing degree programs. Up until now, we have been in partnership with the University of New Brunswick, but thanks to an announcement in February of 2020 from the Ontario provincial government, we are able to offer a standalone Bachelor of Science nursing, and September 2021 is the very first intake for that program. The length of the program, it's a 4-year, 8-semester program. You can apply if you're coming right out of high school, if you're a mature applicant, or if you're a transfer applicant. It's an accredited degree program, so it's no less of a degree that you would have achieved had you been enrolled in the collaborative program with UNB or any other university across Ontario. Graduates are able to go and write the RN licensing exam. You could potentially explore graduate study options afterwards. And admission requirements do vary by applicant, which depends on your academic background. And we're going to get into that next. So if we move on to the next slide here, we'll get into what a specific high school applicant and what the admission requirements are. So a high school applicant is an applicant who is under the age of 21, who has not attended any type of post-secondary and has graduated from grade 12 or is in progress to complete their OSSD. So the OSSD is an obvious requirement for a high school graduate. You also have to complete a grade 12 U English, math, chemistry, and biology, each grade with at least a 75%. That's each, not an average across those four. Every single one of those four U courses have to be 75%. You also need to have 2 grade 12 or U additional courses, each with a minimum of 60 and an overall GPA of 75%. You'll see this in each slide when it comes to admissions. The program is very competitive, so meeting eligibility requirements does not necessarily guarantee you an offer. We'll move on to the next slide here. We're going to be discussing transfer applicants. Thank you. A transfer applicant is an applicant who has attended post-secondary education on a full-time basis for at least 1 semester within the last 5 years, and that can be taken domestically or internationally. Important to note, private institutions like Triux College or any of those private GTA colleges are not included in this. We cannot use those for admissions purposes. But any publicly funded institution on a full-time basis for at least 1 semester within the last 5 years, you would fall into this category. Again, the key is the 4 core courses, and on top of that, your GPA in your most recent post-secondary program. So we will do a GPA calculation of your most recent full-time program, and your program GPA must be at least a 74% or a 3.0 to be considered. Unfortunately, if it falls below this, we cannot consider you for the program. And again, you would need the 4 grade 12 U English, math, biology, and chemistry, each with a grade of 75%. If you have a GPA that does happen to fall below that 3.0 or a 74, you do have options to go and potentially rejuvenate your GPA. I usually recommend our 1-year pre-health program if you fall into this scenario. And we'll move on to our next slide here and discuss mature applicant admission requirements. So mature applicant is a student who is over the age of 21 who has not attended post-secondary education within the last 5 years. So here what we're going to be looking at is, again, the 4 core courses, grade 12U or a post-secondary equivalent of English, math, biology, and chemistry, each with a grade of 75% or higher, as well as English language proficiency. And again, meeting the minimum requirements does not guarantee an offer. And we'll move on here and we'll discuss a bit about Bachelor of Nursing second entry, what it is, as well as some admission requirements. So this second entry program is still currently in partnership with the University of New Brunswick for September 2021. It's an accelerated Bachelor of Nursing degree program designed specifically for applicants with degree level study and their background. The way it kind of works is you would apply for the preparatory semester, which has an intake every September. And it's a competitive process to be admitted into the preparatory semester. And if you are admitted into the prep semester and you successfully complete the prep semester, which means passing all courses within that semester with a grade of 74%, you are then admitted and moved directly into the second entry program itself, which starts the following January. And then you take 6 consecutive semesters of core nursing content after that. So it's including the preparatory semesters, it's 7 semesters total running consecutively. So if you want to look at it practically, you would be applying for our prep semester in September 2021, for example. If admitted, you take that prep semester from September 2021 to December 2021. If you are successful in the prep semester, you join second entry in January 2022, taking 6 consecutive semesters, hypothetically completing the program by December 2023. So September 2021 is the final year for new students that are going to be accepted into the Humber UNB program, and September 2022 is when Humber intends to offer its first intake of the standalone Bachelor of Science Nursing second entry program. And we'll move on to the next slide. So these are admission requirements based on our current requirements for the September 2021 intake. With the new standalone program coming into place next year, These are subject to change, and they will be published and updated on our website if or when they do change. But at this point in time, the requirements are, again, you've seen these a lot, the 4 core courses, grade 12U or post-secondary equivalent of English, math, biology, and chemistry, each with a grade of 70% in this case. And we take your most recent 60 degree level credits and we do a GPA calculation. That GPA needs to be at least a 74% or a 3.0 to be considered, as well as English language proficiency. And meeting minimum requirements, again, does not guarantee an offer due to the competitiveness of the program. And we'll move on to the next slide here. A quick note about international documents. If you have attended post-secondary internationally, the program is full disclosure, so you are required to provide us with a course-by-course WES evaluation of your post-secondary education. International high school does not need to be provided for disclosure purposes. However, if you intend to use it to clear course requirements, for example, English, math, biology, and chemistry, it needs to be evaluated by ICAS on a course-by-course basis. ICAS can be a timely process, so if you're going to be having your high school courses evaluated, you want to start that process early. WES is a bit quicker, but I would never advise on putting any of these off if you intend on applying. And moving on to the next slide here. So important to note, both the Bachelor of Science Nursing and the Bachelor of Nursing second entry program are now waitlisted for September 2021. The next available intake for both of these programs is next September in 2022. Applications for these programs will open on ontariocolleges.ca early October 2021, so in a few months from now. I definitely encourage all applicants to have a completed application by February 1st. A completed application does not mean you have applied to the program and that's it. A completed application means you have applied to the program and provided us with all of your documents needed to clear eligibility for the program. It's a very competitive program and it is very competitive every year. So please assure again that you meet the equal consideration deadline and upgrade before this date. If you are out of high school and you need to take these high school courses, or if you're a mature applicant and you're missing courses, or if you're a transfer applicant and you're missing any of the English, math, biology, and chemistry I have referenced numerous times, you can take those courses on www.ilc.org, or you can explore options such as adult learning centers in your area. And moving on, we're going to pass it over to Pamela.
That's great. I'll just before we touch over to you, Pamela, I just want to thank you very much, Vince. That was fantastic. A lot of information, I know, to all convey. I also just wanted to let people know that so in terms of the Q&A area, I'm just asking if you see your question posted or something like worded very similar to what you're thinking of writing, please try not to repeat it, and we are trying our best to get through all of the questions. We will be, after we're speaking to people, we're going to be going through the Q&A. I'll be reading out the questions out loud and having particular people reply where they can. We've got some people feverishly typing in the background. Thank you very much, Aldale and Danielle. We've got, I know we've got a lot of questions on the go here. So,
sorry, Wendy, can I just,
yes.
2 points I'd just like to mention before I pass it off. I apologize.
Yeah.
If you have questions about your specific application, I would encourage you to email admissions@humber.ca directly. We're not going to be able to discuss specific applications over this Q&A forum. And I forgot to mention, and it was important to note, if you're applying for second entry, there is course equivalency options available for the prep semester if you have taken those courses in the past. Those are applied for and awarded after the admissions process. You have to be admitted into the program first before you apply to them. So I know there's always a lot of questions around that, so I just wanted to mention that as well. Sorry, thanks.
Yeah, no, that's fine, Vince. That's great. Perhaps if you or one of your colleagues could just repeat that email address in the Q&A chat box, that would be helpful as well.
Absolutely.
So, next up, we have Pamela, who is as I said, a professor in the Bachelor of Sciences nursing program, and she is also the program coordinator for year 1. Hello, Pamela, how are you?
Oh, I'm well, thanks. Good evening to everybody.
Thank you. If you could perhaps share some insight into this program, the Bachelor of Science Nursing program.
Yes, well, as Vince said, we are very excited to be offering our degree program. We've had much experience and collaboration with the University of New Brunswick, but we certainly are ready and eager to meet the incoming class for the fall of 2021. During this, I think it's important also to note that although you'll be taking 2 semesters, it is a full-time degree program. In the first semester of the program, you'll be taking 6 subjects, and we have decided that we would like to, in making some changes, is have enough good core courses to support your learning. So we'll be having a look at some of the science courses that Dr. Stewart will talk about a little bit later, as well as making sure that you have a beginning introduction to the nursing profession by looking at how can you, through establishing relationships, really look at empowering people to have better health, as well as making sure that you're able to communicate completely with them. People want to live a meaningful life. And so, as you know, and I'm sure you have thought about yourself a lot in terms of applying to a program like nursing, that nurses have a very meaningful role in people's health. Also, along with your sciences, your nursing course, you'll be taking a writing course because nurses are involved in what we call scholarly writing. Important to be able to critically think, so how to learn about the different subjects that you'll be reading about, and also taking psychology and taking some elective courses. One of those elective courses will be from either arts and humanities, as well as one course that you'll be able to take of your own choosing. In the winter semester, again, you'll be taking 6 courses, and again, you'll be having one course in the nursing profession where we'll be really drilling down on important aspects of therapeutic communication, and also how to write within the nursing profession. We also will be taking more sciences, this time physiology. And as well, you'll be taking an ethics and moral theory course. Again, you'll have an opportunity to have a look at psychology by looking at the lifespan and the different changes that an individual goes through as they develop, and also having an opportunity again to take another degree elective, again from the arts and culture. As well, you'll be taking microbiology, and again, Dr. Stewart will talk a little bit more about those courses. Our class sizes can vary from a small groups of maybe 25 students to as size of 35 to 40 students. Not in the first year, either semester 1 or semester 2, students will not be going into the simulation labs or the clinical learning labs. You'll be having labs, but these will be to learn different nursing processes like therapeutic communication. Simulation labs and clinical learning labs, you certainly will meet as you progress into year 2, 3, and 4 of the program. And you have to remember, this is a really safe place to enjoy your learning. And these are very small sizes of students with one teacher. We also have a number of clinical placements. There will be no clinical placements in year 1 of the program. However, beginning in year 2, 3, and 4, there will be a number of clinical placements, and we use places throughout the Greater Toronto area and sometimes beyond. We've even had students leave the province when they get into their higher levels, like year 4, to do a preceptorship program. The whole goal is to make sure that we prepare you to take the registration exams, the NCLEX exam, which is a national exam written across Canada, except in Quebec. And then, of course, once you pass that, you can be designated as a registered nurse.
Great, thank you very much, Pamela. Can you also, we've got some pictures here of
Yep.
our Clinical Simulation Learning Center. Can you talk a little bit about that area? I mean, we're quite proud of our labs.
We have some very interesting labs and equipment. And so I guess part of that is the small class size, having direct interaction with a clinical teacher. But as you can see, there's a number of things going on. So we see in one picture, we also work with the older adult. You can also see that there is the baby. We even have simulators that can speak, that can deliver babies. So a number of excellent learning experiences, because in a safe environment, you can practice your clinical skills. You can get that feedback right away, so that when you go into the actual clinical area, which could be working with the older adult, working in pediatrics, working in obstetrics, or maternity care, working out in the community, perhaps you feel much stronger to be able to practice those skills further, again, with the clinical teacher in the clinical area.
That's great. Thank you so much, Pamela. Really appreciate it. I think next we will move on to Catherine. Catherine is a professor in the Bachelor of Health Sciences program. Sorry, Bachelor of Sciences nursing program, and she is also the alternate pathways coordinator. Catherine, can we just
Hi, everyone.
There you are. Hello, how are you today?
Good.
If you could perhaps just share some additional light onto this program pathway.
So as Vince alluded to, that you come into this program with either you have a degree already, or you have 60 credit hours from university level courses. And it is an accelerated program, and I think that that's very important to talk about. It's a full-time, accelerated, concentrated program that takes place over the full 7 semesters. So you can see at the bottom, there's the admissions is a 2-step process. So what you will do is you will do your preparatory semester, where you'll take your 5 courses, if that's what you have to take based on your ability to transfer credits, for example. But you will take your 5 courses. Let's say you have to take all of them. You have to get a minimum of 74 in each course. It is not an average. You have to get a 74 in each course. And then after that, you will be permitted to enter into the Bachelor of Nursing program. So it is a 2-step process. The difference that it is an accelerated, concentrated program that's over it'll be 6 semesters after you are finished your prep semester, and you're basically accomplishing doing all of the nursing clinical hours and the nursing courses in a very condensed format. So you still have to achieve 1,400 hours of clinical and field practice. So sometimes you'll be doing, instead of doing 1 or 2 clinical days, you'll have to, instead of doing 1 clinical day like you may do in the generic program, you'll have to do 2 clinical days, because you need to get those hours done in order to graduate from the program. The class sizes are still consistent with what Pamela was talking about, 35 to 40 students. You will start labs right away in January after you finish the prep semester, and you'll start clinical right away. So as I said, it is a full-time condensed program. Some other things to mention, you will have simulation, and that will probably start in, we usually start that in 3rd year. We'll show you a program layout in a minute. And you'll have labs. Clinical placements, as Pamela said, can be anywhere in the GTA in the greater area. One thing to note is that, nurses work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So it doesn't matter where you live in the world, doesn't matter what continent you're on, what country you live in. Where there's a hospital, there are nurses working 24/7. So the majority of the graduates that come out of nursing will work in areas where you're doing direct patient care. And that's important to remember because your clinicals will take place anywhere from Monday to Sunday, and the clinicals up until your final semester will be either days or evenings, Monday to Sunday. So you could be doing 8-hour shifts or 12-hour shifts. That can be 7 to 3, 7:30 to 3:30, 3:30 to 11:30, or 3 to 11. Or you can be doing 7 to 7 or 7:30 to 7:30. So sometimes you will have one clinical day a week, sometimes you'll have 2 clinical days back to back. And that is all dependent on what the requirements are for that particular semester. So it's important to understand that if you're doing 12-hour shifts, you could be away from your house for 14 hours a day minimum. Because we're in the greater GTA, or we do GTA and round, you may be required to, you'll be required to actually get to your clinical placements, which is also important to understand. So with respect to that, I think we can, once you graduate, you can write your NCLEX exam. That will give you your designation as a registered nurse, and you'll be actually able to practice nursing, okay? You want to just advance for a second, please? So this is the program layout. You can see in the prep semester, you have anatomy, micro, stats, patho, and psych. So once you finish that in the fall, if you get your 74%, you'll progress into the January semester where you'll take an intro to nursing course where you'll be introduced to the profession, understand the what it is, what the legal ramifications around it are, or requirements. And then you'll have a communications course, and then you will take a course in mental health and chronicity, chronic situations, and then you'll do clinical. And there's labs embedded in that as well. So you will be on campus in January. Term 2 starts right after you finished 1. You go right into May and you start taking pharmacology, you do pediatrics, and you have another concentrated clinical practice that will last all summer. And then you'll move into the fall and you'll take a health assessment course, a community course, you'll have community clinical and nursing research. And then you'll progress further, you'll do patho, and then you'll do acute med surge, another clinical, and then you'll do a nursing theory course. And then you get back into the summer again, and you do a families course, you do another med surge course, do more clinical, and then you have a leadership course, and then you get to your the final semester, the integrated nursing practice. That's the one that Pamela was alluding to about doing a preceptorship. So in that particular semester, you'll be working full-time alongside a nurse. You'll be assigned a preceptor in a hospital, and you will work their full-time schedule. And that's important to know for planning, because you will be working full-time alongside of a nurse, and you'll work whatever schedule that nurse is working. And typically when you get to that level and you get through your final semester, you'll be working days and nights. And you'll be working whatever shifts for that period of 14 weeks. Any questions? Or I guess I'll wait for questions. Do we have another slide ahead?
I think now it's going over to Ron. Thank you so much, Catherine. Really do appreciate that. So yes, next we have Ron Stewart, who is the coordinator of the Bioscience Division in our faculty. Our nursing programs get a lot of exposure to the bioscience lab, and therefore it's great that Ron can be here to explain a little bit about the labs in that area and how fortunate we are here at Humber with the facilities we have. Hello, Ron.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, okay. Please do go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Wendy. Yeah, so my name's Ron Stewart, and I have the pleasure of coordinating biosciences, which is essentially means the biologies that you'll be taking within the nursing program. And I also have the pleasure of teaching microbiology as part of that. So the biologies that you'll be taking include anatomy and physiology. Those are such foundational courses, microbiology and pathophysiology. Catherine explained well the progression of courses through the second entry process. So I'll start with the regular entry process that will be starting in September. So in September, if you're taking the Bachelor of Science Nursing regular entry, you'll start with Anatomy and Physiology Part 1. And the way we teach it is we teach anatomy and physiology concurrently at the same time. I think that's actually the best way to teach it, because you learn the anatomy, which is the structure, and then the physiology, which is the functioning of the body. And, you know, Wendy alluded to it, but one of the reasons why we're so fortunate is because we have state-of-the-art anatomy and physiology labs. They're new. They just opened in 2015. So those are of the newest labs within Ontario, actually. So they're high quality, high functioning anatomy and physiology labs, and they're well stocked with, you can actually see in the images here, the first sort of images on your, that's my talk, on the sort of middle left, those are the images of our lab. But also what makes us stand out is we're the only publicly funded college within Ontario, within Ontario, that to actually house, we house cadavers. So when you're in the lab, you learn on models, but you also learn on cadavers. And you know, not to scare students, but anatomy and physiology are challenging courses. Every individual piece of information is not a challenging piece of information, but there's so much of it. So it definitely helps to have those tools, right? Our state-of-the-art labs combined with the cadaveric material. So, you know, we're so fortunate to learn from them. The other reason I think that we're so fortunate is because all of our professors are experts in their fields. They're PhD prepared, and they continue on with research in their fields. So, you know, we are up to date with all the latest information in anatomy and physiology, and then also in microbiology too, and then pathophysiology. So you'll take anatomy and physiology half the body first semester, anatomy and physiology the second half of the body in the second semester. And in the new degree program, you're in your second semester, your first year, second semester, you'll take microbiology at the same time. And I can't imagine another more important basic biology course than microbiology right now. So, you know, we'll talk, I know because I developed the course, but we'll talk significantly about, you know, all basic microbiology, infectious disease, but of course focus on SARS-CoV-2 and the current pandemic. So you'll learn everything you need to know about the current pandemic and going forward what we might predict for the future. And then in second year, you take pathophysiologies, which is it's a great progression. Essentially, you'll take the anatomy and physiologies that you learned in first year and apply them to pathophysiologies in the second year, which is really this kind of dysfunctioning of the body. So you'll use all that knowledge that you gained. Now, I kind of said it, but I'll reiterate it. Anatomy and physiology are challenging. So I think one of the most important things for these courses is that you attend and that you try and participate. And when I see students that are successful, it's because they're very active in the courses. Now, coming this September, so fall 2021, we've actually moved all of these labs into a virtual learning experience. So we've actually taken cadaveric images. We've developed interactive programs. So everything that you see here, even physiologic experiments, we videoed those and put them in an interactive software, and you'll be doing all of these anatomy labs and physiology labs online in the fall 2021. And our hope is, at least my hope is, that we come back to contact in, so I guess, winter 2022, so that you actually be physically in the lab. But one of the things that I want to assure you is that we've put significant effort into translating this into online learning. So I have no doubt that our online experience is actually world class. I have no doubt about that. And then Catherine explained it well. Sorry, Wendy, did you want to?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if we advance to the next slide, you can give a little bit of visual.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah.
What you're explaining there.
Yeah, so so what you see in this, I guess, sort of the bottom left, that's Greg, one of our lab techs, and he's running an ECG or an EKG on himself. And so he runs through some experiments, but you know, not only did we video those experiments, we have an interactive program. So while he's going through those experiments, the video pauses and you answer some questions, fill in the blanks. So it's really like you're a part of the actual experiment, and then predict what's going to happen to things like heart rate and blood pressure. And, you know, as part of this cardiovascular lab, you can actually see there, I guess in the upper right image, that's, if you know your anatomy, that's a heart. I would ask you if I was teaching, but that's a heart. And you can see the model on the right-hand side. And then that's actually a cadaveric heart that's dissected out of our cadavers on the left-hand side. So that's actually how it looks in the cadaver. So yes, we've done a significant amount of work to translate these to online learning. So even though we are still fully online for the basic biologies, this coming fall, I have confidence in our virtual experience. And we have some experience now because we've been in this pandemic for a little bit of time. So what you'll see is that we have both asynchronous and synchronous learning. So you will have lectures and labs you can watch at your leisure, and you can also participate in lectures and labs at the same time too. So you can kind of choose where you want those. If I hate to say there's kind of any benefit to this type of pandemic, but if there was one, I would say that would be it. We become more flexible in the delivery of these things. So, I have no doubt that we teach anatomy and physiology and microbiology and pathophysiology extremely well. So the teaching and learning in those subjects is excellent. The last piece of advice that I always give is it's up to you then to participate, because these can be challenging courses. So you have to be there and participate and interact with your professor. But we'll give you all the tools, and you just apply them, right?
That's great.
So I think that's everything that I wanted to say. But I'm happy to stick around if anybody has any specific questions.
That's great. Thank you so much, Ron. Really do appreciate that.
Pleasure.
And I think what we'll do next then, so we've got a lot of questions happening in the Q&A box, so thank you again very much. And I see that a lot of people have been replying. I see some conversations back and forth. So I've been trying to go through and see which ones we can touch on. I will just ask perhaps someone in admissions. Vince, can you just define for the audience the term waitlisted? I had one question there in terms of what does waitlisting mean? So could you apply that?
For sure. Sorry. So essentially, when we waitlist a program, we have at this point in time filled all the seats available for the upcoming year. So we create a wait list of applicants who are eligible but fall just likely below our competitive cutoff score to receive an offer at the time. And should more seats open up in the future, and this can happen should students miss deadlines to pay tuition deposits, accept their offers, if students drop out before September, whatever it might be, we then call off the wait list. If the student's still interested, we may offer them a seat in the program. So the tough thing about the waitlist is it's tough to really advise whether or not you're going to get an offer or not, because it just changes year to year. We just kind of have to wait and see, as the title of the waitlist would indicate.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And Vince, I'm not sure if this one might be for you. This is a question that I see coming up quite a bit. What academic average must be maintained in order to remain in the program? So what average determines a fail on a class that would warrant a retake?
I'd have to reference the academic regulations. I don't have that off the top of my head. I'm not too sure if Pamela has that information or not.
We're just reviewing that, Vince, and we expect to hear very shortly about what the passing grade will be. But currently, right now in the BN program, it's 60%. And so I'm not sure what the new one will be, but maybe somewhere between maybe 60, 65.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And actually, now that I've read it, I think that was actually 2 questions. So thank you. Just skipping over back to this screen here for the question and answers. And could I ask Pamela, could you address our current state as we see it right now, that we're delivering courses remotely, and how do you, just to try to describe it to our students right now then at a university level that you're going to be teaching, how do you feel the remote learning gets conveyed to the student? People are wondering how the courses are getting delivered.
That will be a variety of courses, with the pandemic, and I sort of think we all echo that we'll be happy, happier when that is over. But our intention is also, you have to understand that nursing is a program that is allowed to have small class sizes within the public health guidelines and that of Humber College. So we do have students that are going into their clinical learning labs, and we do have students that are in the clinical area. In year one, we do intend to bring students in for small class sizes for one of our courses. And the other courses, as far as I know, unless things change, will be delivered remotely. So when we're talking remotely, we're talking about sort of two avenues. One can be synchronously, where the teacher is online with you. You can see, talk. The teacher can see the class. The teacher can divide you into groups, show videos, do a variety of activities. When it's asynchronous, then also the materials and activities are available to you to make sure that you have access to all the learning activities. Many of the teachers are also recording anything that they feel the students would benefit from, or material that is required for you to understand sort of part one, and then make sure that you can move on sufficiently to part two. So as you're building your knowledge base.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you. Pamela, could you also speak to how do you feel that this prepares you for taking your master's to become a nurse practitioner?
Well, right now we have, I don't know the number, but I certainly know from the reference letters that I write that our students are going on to do master's degrees. Some are doing Masters of Science, some are doing Masters of Nursing, and many of them are moving towards the nurse practitioner programs. That is a combination. So as we started off saying, as Vince said right from the very beginning, our program is a university degree program. So it will be judged the same way as any other university degree program for entry into a master's degree program.
Thank you. Thank you. And do you, actually, I'm not sure who might be the best one to answer this. I have someone asking if there are any opportunities to work in the lab. When I think about work-study students, do we have any work-study students who work in the lab, or do we just have staff? Would anybody be able to answer that question? I'm guessing no, that we don't have work-study students there, but.
It's not a place that I've been familiar that we have work-study students, but I think also with the state that we're working in right now with public health guidelines and Humber guidelines and the rigorous cleaning between labs and that kind of momentum, that it has been primarily our staff.
Right, right. Vince, if I can ask you a question. Just speaking to final offers, when will final offers be made for the 4-year program?
So at this point in time, we are not making any further offers for the 4-year program as we are waitlisted. That doesn't mean we won't make offers before September should seats become available. So that's another thing to note if you are on our wait list or if you're waiting to hear back is we can make additional offers as late as the first week of September, just because that's how late seats could potentially become available. So if you have no decision made on your application and you want to follow up, I'd encourage you to email admissions@humber.ca. But offers could potentially be made as late as September.
Okay, thank you. Ron, you might be able to answer this question for me. Is human physiology 2 equivalent to patho in the first semester?
So if I read it kind of as is, no. So just for clarity, physiology is how the body normally functions, and pathophysiology is how the body malfunctions or functions under disease. So those two are not equivalent courses, yeah.
Okay. Great.
But I do assess many transfer credits. I mean, if that's what the student is getting at, if they've taken previous courses, but.
Okay, right. And in terms of transfer credits, is that a question best for Vince? I was just wondering.
I think so. I mean, if it's about the process of transfer credits, then yes. If it's a basic biology, they all come to me, and our team assesses them for equivalency. But
Okay.
as far as the process of getting the transfer credit to me, I'm not sure if Vince could.
Okay, I was just curious if there was someone available just to speak to more so just the process of transfer credits. If we have any people in the audience asking about the process.
Yeah, for sure. I can speak to that a little bit. So kind of off the top, when it comes to transfer credits, they are not applied for or approved or assessed until you've been admitted into the program. So we don't pre-approve transfer credits if you haven't been admitted to the program or anything like that. When it comes to the 4-year Bachelor of Science nursing degree for September 2021, all transfer credits are applied for on your My Humber account. And they go through our normal transfer credit process at Humber, and we have a whole team that deals with transfer credits. It kind of coordinates sending it off to the correct coordinators and assuring whatever gets approved is approved and all that kind of stuff. If you are watching this and you are currently a student who has been accepted to second entry for September 2021, you should have received emails with your own specific process when it comes to both course equivalency and transfer credit, because that's a specific process that runs through myself and the rest of my admissions team that we have to coordinate with UNB because of the partnership program. So it's a little bit different between the two at this point in time, but important to note that there's really nothing you can do for transfer credits until you've been admitted. And if you are a 4-year admissions, if you're admitted into the 4-year program, you go through My Humber. And if you are admitted into second entry, you would run through our own specific process that we've communicated with you, which would have you communicating with bntransfer@humber.ca.
Great, thank you, Vince. Appreciate that. Catherine, I have a question here. How many days of the week will the class or classes be for the second entry program? So I know just earlier we were going over the progression of the courses. Are you able to comment typically in a week how many days are the students in class, or how many average of hours per day?
Specifically, no. Typically you'll be in, typically it's at least 4 days a week.
Okay. Okay, great. I'm sure that answers the question. Thank you. And I see someone here is asking about scrubs, if they can buy scrubs at the North Campus. I'm unfamiliar with the process for the uniforms. Could Pamela or Catherine answer that question?
Sure. We usually will do a rollout in terms of the uniform, and let students know well in advance when they have to order it, how to size the uniforms, and what kind of shoes, so that everybody gets notice. And then these have been ordered through the bookstore, and when they come in, then students can go and pick up their uniforms.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Just for your information, they've typically been blue, sort of but I'm not sure what color they'll be, this time.
Right, right. Ron, will the students doing anatomy in the second entry also have access to the cadaver labs?
Yes, they will, but for the incoming for fall 2021 will be fully online with all our labs. Yes. But they'll have access to those labs that we've developed with cadaveric access, which is online. going forward, every sequential year will have just the same, essentially the same access that the regular entries have. Yeah, so
Right.
It's a excellent experience. There's no question.
Indeed, thank you. I see a question about Microsoft Office. Is Microsoft Office given to students for free, or is there a fee to pay for it? I know I saw a tweet from Humber College today speaking to the Microsoft Suite package. So if you were to, I'm pretty sure it is included, but I don't want to say that 100%. I'm sure if you go to the humber.ca website, whether if you go to any of their social media, I know there was a post just made today about that. And in fact, I will also go to retweet that on our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook as well in the next day. So if you follow us at Humber FHSW on any of those channels, you will also see some more answers for that. So there are still so many questions, and we thank you for your questions. If we do not get to your question specifically, we will be following up after the session as well. So here's an interesting question. Pamela, can I do the practicum overseas?
We're in the process of talking about which we have not finalized because it doesn't come until year 3, but how to look more broadly at global health. So when you say doing it overseas, right now we do have students who go to Guatemala for a global health experience. We have had students also, I believe, go to Taiwan for a global experience. Obviously not happening right now with the situation in the world, but something that we will get back to. But usually, again, remember, we like to have students in smaller groups in our clinical experiences with a teacher. So obviously these areas have to be, with teachers, and we have to be able to make sure that we have everything in order. But I guess one of the things we're starting to think about is how far away can a student go, perhaps for preceptorship. But I want to emphasize that this is a Canadian nursing degree. And so all efforts towards understanding the nursing context in Canada and being able to prepare yourself for the NCLEX exams.
Great, thank you. Pamela, I'm going to keep you on screen here. I have questions about the placement. People are asking whether if a student, is every student guaranteed a placement for nursing? Do you get to pick your placements?
I wouldn't use the word pick. We ask for your preferences, and we use a database that is widely used in health sciences across Canada called HSPNet. And with this, students will see the various offerings of clinical placements, and they will be instructed on what the rules are. In other words, how many clinical placements can a student select as their preference, because sometimes they're not, as Catherine said, always sort of 9 to 5. There are different shifts, so it could be days or it could be evenings. And students will make their selection, and then HSPNet tries to get you as close as possible to your selection. Does this always happen? No, but the program does try. In terms of guarantee, we do want students to be able to get out to their clinical placement. And I would say that students have always had a clinical placement and within the appropriate time frame. During the period of COVID-19, things have been a little bit different. And The agencies and hospitals, they really want to have nursing students. However, you have to understand that their first priority is the patient. So I think they've been very, very busy with care as things have escalated, calmed down, and escalated again. So I think that we look forward to being back on track too with our clinical placements.
Right. And for the question that we have here, in a follow-up to that, just speaking to whether they need transportation, whether they need a car, I think, again, that really depends upon what the student lists as their preference, right? And in terms of, you know, where the best fit comes to happen. Right, so I mean, we do have students, right, with cars and some that end up taking public transportation to their clinicals.
Yes, we do, and students sometimes share rides. Right now I have a group of students who are out in Oakville, and I have a group of students that are closer to the Humber College environment. So it all depends, and we do a variety of clinical placements. So it could be long-term care, it could be an obstetrical unit, it could even be a kindergarten. It could be a public health office. So there's a variety of different clinical placements. So it's sort of hard to, you know, nail down exactly a location. But our students have typically been able to get there, or they find a way to do that.
Right. Are there any clinicals that, or as part of an element of a clinical where outside of COVID, so in our perfect scenarios, do our students go into any homes?
I have had in pre-grad preceptorship students who have done home care. I think we've heard a lot about home care, sorry to mention COVID-19 again, but it is a growing area. So with St. Elizabeth visiting nurses, other agencies, but you just talked about a car. So many, remember, you're carrying around confidential documents. So it does certainly require that, you know, students have access to transportation, because those visits are sort of all over a certain designated area. But we have done not as much home care as what I would say maybe they do out in the Western provinces.
Right, thank you. Well, I think if I could just get Vince back on screen again, and Vince, if you could just say again the contact details for admission questions again, just because we're just about at the end of our session here. So I just want to give you one more plug for email and contacts in terms of if a prospect has questions.
Mm-hmm. Yep, for sure. You can reach us at admissions@humber.ca. That's admissions with an S. At humber.ca, you'll be put in contact directly with either myself or likely one of Danielle or Ali, who are here today in the background, answering all of your questions. So yeah, admissions@humber.ca. Inquiry@humber.ca is also another main one that is for the Office of the Registrar, and I'll also make an announcement with those two emails. So thanks again for joining us, and hopefully we're able to answer some questions for you guys.
Thank you so much, Vince. Really do appreciate it. And yes, we are coming up to the top of our hour, and so I would like to say thank you very much for joining us. Please do reach out to inquiry, ENQUIRY, @humber.ca, admissions with an S, admissions@humber.ca, and also check out our virtual tour at healthsciences.humber.ca/virtual tour. You can also hear on the videos, hear from our program coordinators, speak to the programs and whatnot. Check out our social media. Check out our channels on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Humber FHSW, that's Humber Faculty of Health Sciences and Wellness, so Humber FHSW. So again, thank you very much. Really do appreciate you being here, and we hope to see you in the future. Thank you.